kama taifa. Let's have a national dialogue. Right now, let us not waste any time. National dialogue is very, very paramount. Tusidhulumiane, tusijaribu to hurt one another. In the whole scenario, trying to fight for democracy. Our democracy is maturing, and these things are there. We shall go through these things. So let us not try to hurt anybody, to try to provoke anybody in terms of our politics. Then, kina Kamau here, they must, and I'm using again the word must, I'm not begging anybody, because I've seen it all. They must be listened at. Our president, thereafter, he listened at them. They called him names, Muongo, Nini, but I don't know where that tempo got lost. Our agencies must be listened. Understand? One of the things that must be listened is to be killed, to be kidnapped, abductions. These things must stop. Whatever reasons, anybody who is doing it. I'm not pinpointing anybody. But right now, right today, those things must stop. You remember, Grace, our forefathers who fought for Mau Mau, they died. Our GNCs are dying. Why should they die again? When we have what you have asked me, a constitution. You understand? Then, lastly, we must have a reconciliation based on love, mutual love and understanding and the truth. And then we must follow the principles of our 3 teaching books, which are very sacred. One is our Quran, sacred, Kitabu Takatifu cha Quran. It is telling us how we should institute our democracy. You understand? And then the next one is the Bible. The Bible is telling us everything can solve the problems that you are facing today. And then the last one is our constitution, our secret constitution of 2010, which people fought and died for, and our late President Kibaki assisted us to have it. And then we must try very, very hard to avoid anything that can divide us. That is tribalism and corruption in this country. Our agencies are fighting for nothing else, to be heard so that they can rectify. If Grace, I had the opportunity, and I'm saying it in the national TV, the opportunity of becoming the president. You remember very well when the agencies when they went to parliament fighting for the budget. You remember? During that time, if our president had listened and gave these agencies 4 portfolios of CSEs, one is gender, communication, which they know very well, sports, agriculture, so that it can give us food. You understand? I think the president would have done us better. And I think that is what we should do. But all in all, what we say here, let us maintain peace. And our religious leaders should step in right now to try to talk to our political leaders so that we can have peace, so that we can avoid all these scenarios of losing lives. And the most central thing, which is very bad, and which has given people the feelings of hating the government, is killing of our youth. That cannot be compromised at all. Okay. Life is very sacred and is given by God and given by our constitution. It's a right to live. But where someone abducts somebody and kills, for whatever reason, we should refuse that. Right. With a lot of humility to anybody who is doing that. I'm not pinpointing to anybody. And remember, lastly, our president is not a monitor of a class of 40 students. He's not a prefect. He's not a student. He's also human. When we approach him, we should approach him with the decorum of respect. Okay. You understand? Okay. That is my take.
I'm going to be coming to you later on, Mushiri and Kamau. A lot has been discussed in terms of dialogue. Do you feel like you've been heard? I'm going to be coming to you too in just a while, because you've been addressed by Mr. Peter's agencies in the House. But we now want to see how, of course, the country is also commemorating this day. Live pictures there from Thika Road and Kitengela. Earlier on, we had Suleiman Yeri in Kitengela. Thika Road, we are still trying to get a hold of Davis Mberia, who will be telling us how that situation is. But now we want to cross over all the way to Kamkunji grounds, where, remember, yesterday, ODM leader Raila Odinga urged Kenyans to rather converge at the historic Kamkunji grounds, where these celebrations have been conducted over the decades. And now we are being joined by Francis Ontuoma. Francis, what is the situation at Kamukunji? Are there any leaders present? Is there anything that seems like is going to happen at the Kamkunji grounds?
Well, Grace, we are standing live here from Kamukunji grounds, and there is an expectant atmosphere here after Raila Odinga made a commitment that he could be coming here today. And therefore, in my interaction with some of the residents here, they are eager and really waiting to see the head of state, Raila Odinga come to these grounds. And therefore, at this point, we've seen a lot of surveillance here, security surveillance. We've had police officers making rounds around here, of course, trying to interact with the locals here to understand the climate that is around this place. Earlier on, we've seen an aircraft, actually not one, but two, trying to make rounds around this field. And it's all in the spirit of surveillance, trying to understand what is happening here. We've seen pockets of crowds here building here. I'm standing close to one of the pockets of crowds that have been building here. As you can see, these are residents of Shauri Moyo. They are all here camping here. They are saying they're not sure whether Raila will be making his way to these grounds, but all the same, they are here expectant, trying to air their concerns, their views, and all this they're saying is they are hoping that he could be making his way here. But at this point, I must say there's no really strong indication whether he's coming or not. We cannot really fully say that he's coming or not, because we've been trying to speak to some of the insiders or some of the people close to the former Prime Minister, and we haven't really gotten a clear indication on whether he's coming over to these grounds. But as you've seen, crowds are here, building up in numbers, just trying to wait for that moment and see whether he'll be making his way here. So a lot of interesting things are happening here at the Kamukunji grounds, the legendary grounds. And okay, these are some of the crowds that you're seeing here. They are chanting, they are making chants here. And in the background, we've had police officers, of course, also making rounds here, trying to ensure that there is peace and security around this place. Let me just have a feel of, now that I'm with these people, let me just have a feel of what is happening here by speaking to a few people here. And there's a gentleman here who's been really wanting to speak to me. Karibu sana katika KTN, na tunashukuru kwa kuzungumza nasi. Tueleze shughuli ni gani imewaleta hapa hii leo?
Shughuli ya kwanza, mimi kwa majina naitwa Soundpa Ubumsese, chairman wa vijana Kamukunji Pumwani Ward. Na leo tunajuaga, si hata leo, wale wajui labda majenzi wa Saima Alpha ndo wajui. Hii mkutano imekuwaga baada ya kila miezi 7, inakuwaga tarehe 7 mwezi wa 7, inakuwaga mkutano. Na hii mkutano vilikuwa tunajuaga enzi kuanzia kitambo, ilikuwa ile enzi ya chama moja ilikuwa na utawala hapa Kenya. Ndio ikakuwa kuna vikosi zilijitoa kama kina Jaramogi Odinga, wakajieka kando, wakaamua kufomu chama yao. Ndio maana sasa kitu inaitwa Saba Saba ikakuja. Ndio maana jana tulisikia mzee ambaye alisema, former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga aka Baba, jana saa 1 alisema Saba Saba bado haijaifika venye inafaa ikuwe bado. Kumaanisha bado hii Saba Saba itazidi kikuku. Kwa hivyo sasa unasiku kama leo, hii Saba Saba leo haikuwa ati maandamano ya majenzi ile kawaida venye watu wanaendaga ya majenzi nini, haikuwa yao. Ndio maana ulisikia.
Kwa hivyo sababu mahususi ambayo imekuleta mahali hapa ni gani hii leo?
Mimi mahususi ambaye imenileta hapa katika hii uga wa Kamukunji ground ni ambaye leo Raila Prime Minister wetu former anakuja hapa, na siku mingi hatujamuona, na yeye ndiye amekuwa anatupigania sisi kama wanyonge wakaji wa chini, yeye ndiye amekuwa anatufaitia. Na saa hii tunaona venye serikali inaendeshwa. Kweli watu wengi wafurahi na hii safina venye inaendeshwa. Wafurahi na hii
mabadiliko ndio mnataka.
Mabadiliko ndio vijana wanataka.
Asante sana, asante sana. I can sample another view here. Tueleze ni kipi kikuu ambacho kimekuleta mahali hapa? And as we were speaking, you saw there is an aircraft that has just gone above our heads. Of course, all in the spirit of the surveillance that I was speaking about earlier on. Tueleze jina lako na ni kwa nini umejileta hapa katika viwanja vya Kamukunji?
Mimi ni Lucas, nimetoka Madhare. Saba Saba ni kama kawa. Leo nimekuja hapa Kamukunji, nisikie baba ameachia kutetea wananchi, anatetea Ruto. Saba Saba ilikuwa maandamano ya majenzi. Saba Saba ilikuwa maandamano ya kama kawa ya serikali. Sisi kama vijana tunaambiwa ati siku zetu ni ya kesho. Ati tutapata kazi kesho, na ingawaje Ruto amechukua wazee wote ndio wanakula hii serikali. Na mimi naambia William, bwana president, wajensia wakoenda kuandamana, uchukue wazee uweke kwa serikali. Majensi wanataka vijana wafanye kazi. Na bwana rais, mkiwa na Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Ground is too hot for William Ruto. Masangwenya wenye nakula pesa ya William Ruto, waambie rais ukweli. Sahi kama ni maandamano, leo haikukuwa maandamano, lakini Ruto ameweka askari kila mahali. Ameweka tension kwa Kenya. Na Murkomen, ndugu yangu, huyu ndio Murkomen ambaye alikuwa analia pale Bomas siku ya BBI. Akilia. Na venye wameweka tension kwa ulimwengu yote. Kila kona ya Kenya iko police, kila mahali. Hata tulikuwa tunaenda maandamano na tunanunua vitu kwa barabara. Lakini saa hii, bwana, one term is real and wakicheza itakuwa half term.
Asante. Let's listen to one more here. Let's listen to one more. Asante sana. Asante. Naomba tusikizane kidogo. Haya, ndugu, pia tunakaribisha KTN. Kwa kifupi tu, tumefika hapa na tukiangalia hatuoni kidogo ndugu zangu. Hatuoni kama kuna maandalizi yoyote hapa ya mkutano. Ni nini kinaendelea? Bado mnamtarajia kuwa Raila atafika hapa?
Mimi naitwa Daniel Chalo Kaloki na nimekuwa kwa maandamano ya Saba Saba kutoka enzi za Moi. Na venye maandamano ya leo imekuwa tofauti kabisa, sababu mpaka raia wanazuiwa kuja kwa kiwanja. Na pia nikiongea ninasema uchumi wetu wa Kenya umeharibika kabisa, na uchumi venye umeharibika, ile kitu ningeomba president wetu akae chini afikirie, arudishe finance bili mahali Uhuru alikuwa ameiwacha kwa 8% na ateremushe vitu, unga na kila kitu chote kiko juu, ateremushe.
Asante.
Mambo ya masomo ateremushe.
Asante sana. I think at this point I just want to give you a feel of how the Kamukunji grounds look like at this point. If we can be able to show you the pictures, it's been sort of barricaded. As you can see, there are constructions that are looming here. So there is, it's been sealed off from the public. And as you can see, there's nothing really much to indicate that there will be a political rally here, because the fields, there's no podium. We haven't seen any security detail in terms of the personalities that we expect here. And therefore, we just had an explosion here. A tear gas has just been lobbed to this field. Grace, if you can still hear me, a tear gas has been lobbed to the Kamukunji grounds, and that tells you that police now wants to discourage assembly around this location. Those are the pictures that we are showing you. A tear gas has just been lobbed in like 200 meters from where we are standing. So wait. Let's have some order. Tukue na mkutano. Kidogo. Sawa. Tunakuja. Grace, if we're still on air, we are still relaying pictures for you, showing you the kind of situation we are witnessing at the Kamukunji grounds. Nothing much is really happening in terms of preparation for any personality coming, but these people are still expectant. Just above our heads has gone an aircraft. There's an aircraft that has just passed above our heads, and that shows you the surveillance that is going on here. Let me return it back to you, Grace, so that until
we are going to be heading back to Francis in just a while, and also to find out if there is any leader who is going to be making their way to the Kamukunji grounds. We now want to head over to Kakamega, where Alan Ochanda is standby. Alan, good afternoon. How are things there? Are they chaotic or relatively calm? Ochanda, good afternoon. Trusting that you can hear me. How are things in Kakamega? Are they chaotic or relatively calm? Well, we are going to be joining Ochanda in just a while, but let us go on with the panelists as we discuss. I said earlier that we are going to be talking to our two Gen Zs, Mushiri and Kamau. Peter here, they talked about being heard and being listened to. Last year, during the protest, we saw President William Ruto dissolve his cabinet. And of course, one of the Gen Zs, that is the now Water Cabinet Secretary, Engineer Eric Muriithi Mugaa, was put in place. Was that not enough? Is that not enough? I'll start with you, Mushiri.
Thank you very much, Grace, for having me. Yes, we saw a Gen Z being appointed as the cabinet secretary for water. But if you look at our mandamanos and our protests, they are a bit different from what we have seen, especially in the recent past, where political leaders go out there andamana for a few days and then we see them being called in government. But for our mandamano is different. We are saying there are things that we need done. We are saying that we want a Kenya that favors every single Kenyan in every corner of this country. In matters education, in matters healthcare, in matters job opportunities. We are saying that is what we want. Yes, a few CS positions wouldn't hurt, but that is not what we want. We want the political class to at least even pretend that they are listening to us and say, yes, we have heard you. There are issues that you're raising, maybe on matters justice. 60 Kenyans were killed last year, and only one inquest that is going on. Why not start all the other 59 inquests? And we're also seeing a government that is lying, because last year they told us that they dropped the finance bill. But then recently we saw the majority leader saying that 97% of that finance bill has been passed. Yet they are the same people who said that we listened to you and we dropped it. Today, we saw DIG Masengeli saying that we are allowing people to come to town. But the reality on the ground is different. We are seeing police everywhere stopping anybody who is moving from one place to another. And that is why we are seeing Kenyans stranded. So, yes, we would love, let's say, a few positions, but that is not enough because all of us cannot fit in that government. All of us cannot be ministers, but all of us can at least get an equal shot in life. At least we can be able to, the government can enable us to afford our education, our healthcare. We can get the job opportunities that we need. Thank you.
All right, Kamau, of course, Mr. Peter and the likes are going to be giving us the view of the Gen Zs then, as we compare to the Gen Zs now. The biggest question perhaps should be the Gen Z movement is partyless, it's leaderless. When it comes to dialogue, how do you want to be addressed if you have no leader, if you have no party?
Okay, thank you, Grace. We started this last year, and even when we did not have leaders or we did not have any party, we were able to host the president on X. He was able to get our views. We were able to communicate to him. He was even able to cool us down. He was able to tell us what he will do for us. And he went on scrubbing the executive, sending them home from what we gave as our own issues. But what we saw was just a recycle of the same people. The forest was different, but the man case were the same. And what he did was just to twist the story. You are saying that he did put one Gen Z, Eric Muga. I have been in politics kidogo, and Eric Muga was the former PA to Mythical Inturi. So there was no that change because he was still the same person. What the government is doing is they are pretending to listen to us. They had given us channels on X and all that, and but eventually there is nothing that the president did. It's not that the president cannot involve us because our issues as Gen Zs, we are not having political interests. What we are doing is that we are pushing for a better government, for a better governance in Kenya, and better service delivery to us, because we are the majority in the population of Kenya. So that's why we did not want to involve politics. And that's why we are trying to discourage the politicians who have tried to ride on this wave of Gen Zs. Because eventually, the person who reaped big is the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Because after our protests, whatever the president went ahead to do, he just went and took Azimio into his government. So it's not us, the Gen Zs, who reaped. Whatever we wanted as Gen Zs was not executed. So we just feel that the president is just playing games with us as he's the people who elected him. Even now, he's fearing the people who took him to the presidential seat. So we are not here to push for political interests. We are here to remind him of the promises he gave us. We are here to remind him that we as the youth we demand and we deserve the right services. We demand and we deserve the promises that he gave us. He must fulfill. He promised to add more employment chances to youths, which he in turn, instead of adding, he has actually reduced. Because you will see most of the businesses are closing. The few opportunities that we as youth are inventing, like the digital content creation, our own ways of making money, he's going ahead and taxing us, including online writing. So there is nothing the president has done for us as youth. He's not listening to us. He's just twisting us here and there and not delivering the promises that he gave us. So we are not going to stop going to the streets at any time soon.
All right, Peter and Dr. Samuel, I'm coming to you in just a bit. But before that, we want to head over to Kakamega. Alan Ochanda, I hope you can hear me now. How are things in Kakamega?
Well, since morning it was quite calm here. You can see actually behind me, this is actually the Kisumu-Kakamega highway, which since morning there was very little activity, and you can see only 2 vehicles, quite countable, quite unusual of this particular area, because this is actually the busiest highway here. But because of that fear of the unknown, motorists and of course road users have actually kept off. You can see on my farthest left there, you can see the supermarkets actually partially closed. And so just to exercise caution, abundance of caution, because what befell them last week, where some shops were looted by criminals who infiltrated Gen Z demonstrations here, have actually sent jitters. And so business operators here, motorists, have actually taken caution and just ensured that they scale down operations. You can see just behind me, a while ago, like 20 to 30 minutes ago, there was a showdown where a group of youth were actually assembling behind this roundabout here, but they were dispersed by the security officers here. You can see the security operators, of course, there since 7:30 in the morning. They were pitching tent there. They have not moved even an inch, but we've seen sort of like 3 to 4 youth being arrested, and so for causing the mayhem. But also remember that a key installation like Muliro Gardens here in Kakamega is actually one of the most symbolic installations here, where normally demonstrators and of course other members of the public normally use that particular facility whenever assembling for any cause. And so today, to just exercise caution, that particular facility has been sealed off completely for all the entrances and the exits. Only those who want to pass through are actually allowed, but those who appear like they want to assemble there and have any sort of conversation are actually been blocked. Remember that we've been speaking to some of the youth who actually reside in this particular county. Remember that, of course, these are Saba Saba commemorations, 35th anniversary, where the clarion call, the clamor for multi-party was actually successful, so it gave birth to more than 100 political parties. And you can see that to this particular day, political parties are being born. We also spoke to them if at all these Saba Saba commemorations mean anything to them, and they are actually quite wary, seeing that there is actually that particular shrinking space in the political parties' democracy, where parties have actually not really observed that thin line of separation from, of course, parties in government, parties in opposition have actually not really, there's been no clear separation between them. But we are still keeping vigil, because, of course, in the past we've seen it's normally quite calm from morning to about such an hour, but whenever it hits afternoon, we've actually been seeing police and the youth here really battling it out. And so we are still keeping vigil. Remember that this is a particular main highway. Of course, if my colleague could just pan, you can see those rails that have actually, they're actually separating that particular highway into a dual road. Remember that last time, of course, last year, 25th of June, we saw the wanton destruction. They were actually looted and vandalized. They were just repaired early this year. And so out of caution, we've seen security operators really ensuring that those particular rails are not touched by members of the public. But remember that in the outskirts of Kakamega, we've also seen, we've actually been walking around, and just we've seen youth in there, in some groups, of course, groups of like 10 to 20 have actually been actually just billing in the outskirts of Kakamega town. But we are still here to just ensure that we bring our viewers to speed with the happenings as and when it happens here in Kakamega. But as of now, there's nothing really to maybe cause a security hit here in Kakamega. Business are going on as usual, but quite scaled down. You can see behind me, since when I began talking, of course, the vehicles that have actually passed behind me are quite countable. And so we are expecting that maybe the situation will go back to normalcy in the afternoon or in the evening, because we can see all the security apparatus really deployed to every vantage positions to ensure nothing causes a security hit here in Kakamega. Also key to note is that, of course, we are keeping an eye for Bungoma, Busia, and Vihiga. If anything comes up, of course, we have to inform our viewers real time. And so we are still camping here to just ensure that we catch every happening here. Yes.
Right, thank you so much, Ochanda, for that. Remember, earlier on, we were heading to Thika Road just to see how things are unfolding. Remember, during the Gen Z memorial or the anniversary of the Gen Z, Thika Road was one of the hard hittest during those demonstrations. And we want to see how things are today. And Davis Mberia is joining us. Davis, good afternoon. How are things along Thika Road?
Good afternoon, Grace. Yes, things here are getting intense as we move on, and the situation here in Githurai along Thika Road is very incredibly volatile. Protesters and police are engaged in a running battle that have affected and brought this busy area to a standstill. Just minutes ago, Grace, we witnessed police intensifying their efforts to disperse the crowd, launching volley on volley of tear gas, and the air right now, it is thick, making it even difficult for us who are covering actually the Saba Saba protest to even breathe. We've seen police deploying also the water cannons with a significant force, trying to push back the actually protesters who are in turn attempting to hold their ground, setting up makeshift barricades on this road and lighting up small fires. The main road actually from Githurai and critical arteries for Nairobi are completely paralyzed. No public transport is actually moving, leaving thousands of commuters actually stranded and disrupting businesses that are actually dared to open today. The sounds of sirens is constant here, Grace, and interwoven with shouts from the crowds who are at the side of the road and inside of the road. And if my camera person will give you what is happening here, the protesters have turned the road actually to be a playing ground, enjoying the time, saying they're not going to relent anytime soon, and it is only starting. And we've witnessed also seemingly the affected tear gas and some of the protesters actually sustaining minor injuries during the confrontation that has been there some few minutes ago. The sheer number of police officers deployed here underscores, Grace, the intensity of the standoff. And remember, from what we can gather is the anger is actually palpable, while the Saba Saba or traditional commemorating the fight for the multi-party democracy. This year, the protests actually are clearly fueled by deep, actually seated frustration from the cost of living, alleged corruption, which the youth say is rising day by day, and concerns of police brutality, issues of the consistently brought to Kenyan streets for the youth. The clashes also aren't just confined to this small area of Githurai. We've also seen some areas of Ruiru where we've been. We've also been at Thika Road Mall and at the headquarters of the GSU near actually the interchange that goes to Mathare area and Muthaiga. There also the protesters have lit actually some bonfires, and we have also seen the disruption earlier on the road where the actually people who wanted to access town and maybe make it to their working places were actually forced to walk, and those who had actually personal cars were actually forced to produce their working identity just to ensure that they are not protesters. And this is what one of the police officers, just talking to him aside, he told me they're doing that because they didn't want a lot of people from other sides of the town to access the CBD and turn it into one of the volatile areas that has been witnessed in a few actually days when the Gen Z 25th June they were commemorating the day. So this is what is happening here. The police have intensified their move to just curb the situation, and also the protesters are pushing the police. So it is a cat and mouse actually run here and there. From Thika Road, I hand you over to Grace Nganga in studio.
Right, there you have it. Heavy police presence at CBD, and Mberia there was just, at Thika Road, and Mberia there was just telling us how the situation is at Thika Road. And now we want to go on with our conversation with Dr. Samuel. Perhaps if I may ask, one may wonder, what does it invoke in you when you remember this day and see how the young ones are ready to risk their lives in search of good governance?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Grace Nganga, for having me here. What I would say is that our youth today have discovered some gaps in our governance system, as I said earlier, and they are out to advocate for change. They have seen these gaps over the years, and they have been waiting to see that, legislative enactment was going to have a change, but they have not seen much of that. As a result, they have taken it on their own to force the change. Now, before I proceed, I want to say to the three arms of governance: the executive, the judiciary, and of course the legislature, that it's important for us to be able to see change and to allow change. Otherwise, if we don't change, change will change us. What do I mean? I mean, there are gaps which were seen by elders like Kenneth Matiba, elders like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, elders like Charles Rubia in the 80s and early 90s. And over the years, regime after another have been coming on board, and they've been promising that some of those changes advocated for will be implemented. But not much has been done. We thank God for former President Kibaki, the late, who came up with the Constitution 2010, which tried to bridge those gaps in our governance system. But somehow, something else has crept in, which is negating some of the privileges and the freedoms that were, promulgated in the Kenya Constitution 2010. So, in a nutshell, I want to say that, intimidating the Gen Zs, activating intimidation and activating extrajudicial killings may not be good for our society. Rather, I want to advocate for a sober dialogue between the Gen Zs and the regime. And as I finish, I want to say this scenario of us having to see streets barricaded, having to see smoke all over, fire all over, is not good for our economy. because it chases away investors. It scares foreigners, and we need the economy to be upbeat. Otherwise, if this situation is not intercepted, we're not going to have a country. So it's my appeal, very sincerely, that our president and those in authority sit down soberly. Possibly, they should come up with should I say a tribunal to look into some of these grievances that the agencies have been persistently, advocating for. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Peter, perhaps someone may wonder what really, because we are really talking about dialogue, but one may really wonder, is the main problem being that the young ones or Kenyans are too trusting to politicians? That's where we head to, we are now where we are, because the promises are broken, because you trusted politicians too much. What really is the problem that we find ourselves here almost yearly, or after every electioneering period?
Grace, thank you so much for that. It's lucky that we have two elderly people here with our youngsters here, whom we think, not tomorrow, now, they'll take the realm of the governance of this country. The problem which we have in this country is bad governance. That is a major problem. The tenets of democracy demands we follow the rule of law, where we are seeing the gaps that my good colleague here, Doctor, is talking about. Let me say that we have a president who was elected in a general election. Let us not assume, I'm not fighting for President Ruto, let us not assume or think that we don't have a president. What do I mean? Let us give him the respect that he demands, because the president is a symbol of national unity. Whatever you feel about him, the Gen Zs, let us look a good approach with a sober mind to try to reach him, so that we can avoid this violence, deaths of our people. I'm sure he will be able to listen, because things where they have reached now, he must listen.
But Mr. Peter, the culture of Kenyans, I don't know if the Gen Zs here will say that most of the time the governments can only understand through the Mandamano way. That's what the Gen Zs argue or arguing.
Grace, I don't know. You and him, I think you are Gen Zs. Eh? Let me give you that respect, because this is your time. Let me give you hope. With Samuel here and me, we are giving you hope. This country belongs to God. We have gone through, like myself, I was a senior sergeant in 1982. I'm one of those guys who suppressed that mutiny. I've seen it all. So what we are saying here is that we should be having a sober mind. Both parties, the political leaders and the government and the Gen Zs. Let me tell you, Grace, let us revisit the sayings of our old fathers who fought in Mau Mau, who fought for the second liberation. Moi did say this, and we are forgetting it. We are very, in Kenya, we are very, we forget things. He said, Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. This is what we are witnessing. So how do we go about it? Lastly, during the 25th demos of the Gen Zs, our president did say this, and let us take that. Instead of blaming one another, give me solutions. And that's where we are. Now, Grace, let me take you to this. I don't know whether Edwin will agree with me. It is a saying or a theory, but time will prove. The popular, and I don't think whether it's popular for now, the saying of 1 term, 2 terms, I don't know, 3 terms will come. Let me elaborate that one, because that is one of the things that is going to solve our problems. As at now, Grace, 1 term, that popular saying that people think 2 terms, it should not arise now. It is neither here or there. That saying, whether it is a saying or a theory, the political scientists will prove me. It should come in 2027. 2 terms, 3 terms, whatever terms, the number of terms should come in 2027. That saying is very dangerous in our country. Come on, and my friend Edwin here, take it seriously. That is the saying, you will use it in 2027, not now. Now we have a president We have a country. You understand? There's nothing you can do now to remove the elected president of this country democratically, whatever you think about it. And when you try to remove it in unconstitutional democratic ways, we are going to be in an anarchy. So, Gen Z, tulizeni boli.
Mushiri,
No,
here
no,
is
no,
burning.
let me see. No, please, I'll sort it out. I'm his grandfather. I'll sort it out. So, whatever we are going to do, let us be very sober.
Okay.
Because today, Edwin is alive. My young man here is alive. But you are losing your colleagues. Violence in South Africa, the former president of South Africa, who stayed in the jail for 24 years, when he came out, he advocated for non-violence movement. You understand? So to finish, to wrap up, let me say this. Grace, with a very clear mind, to answer your question, our political leaders are sorting out badly. They are doing badly, most of them. And now, let me call upon them, the National Assembly, the members of our National Assembly, the members of our Senate, the MCA. They should now, not tomorrow, come out very clearly, going to the people and preach peace, void of political inclination, anything. Let us forget that now we are a nation. And this is the moment we shall build the nation. They should come out. What are we paying for? I have never had any politicians going out preaching what we call peace. What they do, Grace, and you are a media personnel, you know, if the government going to talk about the people, giving development issues, wanataja wale wengine. Wale wengine now in the opposition, wakienda pale wanatukanana. What lessons are they teaching Edwin and my young man? What is that? They should be sober. Now wawache ulimi, because there's a power of the tongue. Now to finish up, I'm also saying our religious leaders, they are sleeping. It is right time now they should call for a national prayer so that it can heal this country. Otherwise, Grace, I don't wish it, God forbid, we are not doing the right thing. And for us, people who have served this country with a lot of commitment, we have retired military officers, we have retired civil servants, we have retired security personnel, who some of them have died, some of them are injured. We are so many, we are just watching. And we are feeling so bad that our service to this country is being let down, unlike many others who are trying to spoil everything. Our political leaders are facing us. Let the political leaders listen to these agencies. Okay. That is my take.
Okay, Mushira, I see you are anticipating to have your word. Okay.
Thank you, Grace. So the retired major has reminded us of the words of the president that we should give him solutions. And yet we have already given him solutions. We have told him that there are 20 advisors in State House. But when you look on the other side, the school feeding program is being denied money. When you look on the other side, let's say emergency healthcare, for 50 million Kenyans is around 8 billion. State House, 8 billion. So why not prioritize that money towards healthcare, towards education, towards sectors that matter to Kenyans? When we say that we need justice for the 60 Kenyans who were killed last year, and we say, let's say, institute inquest, arrest police officers who killed Kenyans last year. When we say that we need jobs, when we say that we need an accountable government, those are the solutions we are saying. And then when we come out to express ourselves, we see the police coming for us from Homa Bay, and then they kill us, and then they say that tumejigongesha ukuta. And then we see, when we come out to the streets, we see goons being unleashed to us. We see police who don't even allow us to protest. And therefore, that is why we are saying, we have given you solutions, but you have refused to listen. So if you can't listen, if you are not ready to serve Kenyans, why should you stay in office?
Kamau, is there any other way of getting, the leaders to listen apart from the maandamano way? I think that is what our elders here are trying to put forth, that we may try and look for other mechanisms of them listening to the young ones apart from going to the streets.
Grace, we are left with no option. The option that we had first was talking to the government in dialogues, probably expressing us on social media, which we already did. They never had. We are already on our last option, which we have seen fruits so far. And apart from Mandamano, this is the only way out. We are in Kenya, where you have to push the government to deliver. We don't have a way out, and we are not giving up. I think my colleague Mushiri can tell you, we are not giving up. This is our home. We have to fight for it. We have to make Kenya better. And the only way to make it better is just being on the streets. Okay. Because we have to deal with this government until they listen to us, they deliver the promises, and they make sure that whatever they told us when campaigning, they are doing it. Lastly, we are not pushing for any self-interest. We are just wondering, we are beneficiaries of the free education. So most of us in the streets, we are educated. We understand a little bit of the government and what it's doing. And basically we are trying to tell them, there is enough money, please don't mismanage, stop corruption. Okay. Like for instance, Grace, we just saw the president wants to build a 1.2 billion church in the State House. I mean, look at it. Those are 6 basic cancer centers in 6 good counties, starting with my great county, Nakuru. Why don't they put money into good allocations? Why do they want to misuse money? Look at when they are going to rallies and these empowerments. Look at the money they are wasting. A whole, His Excellency, a deputy president will go with a convoy of that will spend more than 100 million. And 100 million is 4 or 5 modern markets. So they just want to, they just have, we are just trying to tell them, sit down, look at the reallocations, stop the mismanagements. I am telling you, if we stop the mismanagement in this government, the rate of delivery that this government can do is more than even what Kibaki did. Okay. But now they are focusing on mismanagement and just lavish things that are not helping us at the Gen Zs.
Okay. Dr. Samuel Peter, seems like the young ones, they just want accountability. But of course, now we want to cross over to county number 1, where Tobias Chanji is telling us what the residents of Mombasa are saying about Saba Day. And let us cross over and listen in.
Well, we're still on Moi Avenue, and as I said earlier, some of the shops still remain closed, and these also include showrooms. On this avenue, we have a sizable number of showrooms, especially selling of vehicles. And with me, some of the businessmen of Mombasa, and just want to get their reaction on the impact of today's protest, even before they begin. Majina yako nani? Or do we speak in English?
Whichever, I'm okay with both.
Can you introduce your name?
Yes, my name is Jose. They also call me Jose Mombasa Auto Deals. Yes. And I am a car dealer here in Mombasa. And as you can see, most of the streets, most of the showrooms here in Mombasa, they are closed. The dealers, they are fearing vandalism by some of those people, like the hooligans. But all I'm asking is that these young people, let them have peaceful demonstrations, and hooligans should be stopped, because destruction of properties is not allowed. It's not allowed at all, because this is our country and people have been struggling economically. So there's no need of destructing someone's property. And I pray that God will help our leaders to come into terms, because this is the only country we have. We were born in Kenya, we live in Kenya. We don't have another country. When we burn our country down, it's us who are going to suffer. It's our children who are going to suffer. And, as you can see, there are not many people in the street. It's deserted. The main business here in Moi Avenue, it's business, it's a car dealership. And most of these foreigners, they are fearing that their cars will be vandalized. So what I'm praying is peace in Kenya, because whatever we are crying, at one point it shall come to pass. So let us be calm, young people. I pray that, because we are going, but you are going to be left behind. Please don't destroy your country, because you need this country tomorrow. May God bless you.
Are you among those that have closed their shops?
No, our showroom is open, Canon Motors is open, but still there's a lot of tension. We are moving the cars behind the walls because we fear if anything can happen, throwing of stones. But we pray to God that it's going to be peaceful and nothing is going to happen.
Thank you, sir. Nawe pia tuambie majina yako nani na unahusika na biashara zipi?
Kwa majina naitwa John Karubo, ninafanya biashara ya kuuza magari.
Na biashara iko vipi siku ya leo?
Leo kuna tension, makastoma wako, lakini tunaomba amani katika nchi ya Kenya. Na ile kitu nataka kusema, vijana wacheni kutukana president, maana Biblia inasema tuheshimu mamlaka. Tumuombe rais wetu, tunataka amani. Na vijana wengi, Mr. President, hatuna kazi. Hatuna kazi. Hiyo ndio maneno ninaweza nikasema.
Shukrani kwa maoni yako. Nadhani kuna mwingine hapa. Sogea, labda unahusika na biashara zipi wewe? Majina yako nani?
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Mandela Kevin. Mimi ni muuzaji wa magari hapa Mombasa. Na kile ambacho mimi ningeonelea ni wacha jenzi waandamane, kwa sababu ni njia moja ya kuonyesha ama kupeana wosia wao. Na president anafaa asikize hao vijana wanasema nini, kwa sababu bila kusikiza basi biashara, angalia saizi ekonomi yetu kwenye inaelekea. Nairobi saizi wamefunga biashara, sisi hapo tunategemea watu wa kutoka up countries ndio tuweze kufanya biashara. Lakini bila hao watu hakuna biashara ambazo tunafanya. So ni president akae chini na hao vijana, aongee na wao. Bila hivyo hao vijana wataandamana leo, kesho kutwa. Hakuna kitu ambacho tunaweza fanya sisi. Ndio hivyo mimi nasema.
There have it, those divergent views from the residents of Mombasa, and especially business people who are also lamenting that they've lost a big deal. Back to in studio.
Right, thank you so much, Tobias Chanji there from Mombasa. But there on your screens, live pictures from Nakuru, a cat and mouse chase there from the police and protesters. We are trying to get a hold of our reporter Ken Gashohe just to tell us what really transpired. We have seen a tear gas being lobbed in the air. There you can see the protesters, I think, just trying to fight back with the police. But Ken Gashohe will be bringing us more of exactly what really transpired. Live pictures there coming your way from Nakuru. And also on your screen, you can see that there is a breaking news already. There is one person has been shot dead in Kangemi. We are unsure of whether it's a male or a female, but of course we are also following on that beat. Breaking news there, another life has been lost. Quite sad news there that we are seeing as I join my panelist. Every protesting moment, a person dies. Was that the case in the 1990s? Were the police using live bullets on protesters? And remember, from what we're seeing there on our screen, the deceased was actually not a protester. Let us start from there. Peter.
Now, my sister Grace, let us give a calling now to the police officers. Police officers are trained in Kiganjo how to conduct the rioters. Understand? But when it comes to a police officer who has a gun that was paid for by wananchi, and he does that kind of thing, killing somebody, when he's not protecting his own life is not in danger, he's not protecting the property of the mwananchi, that is not accepted. It's not acceptable at all. And I hope, I'm giving a calling to our police officers who are doing good jobs to avoid in all circumstances not to take anybody's life. The life is a sacred. Even nobody can take it. It is there in the Constitution. It's a right given by God. So when we come to, that's what I'm saying, our agencies, you should look, means, have hope, still have hope. I'm seeing that you are losing hope. Don't lose hope. Even during our time, we never lost hope. We never lost hope. Have hope. Write a memorandum to the president, because you are leaderless. You are leaderless. Write a memorandum to the president that you want to meet him. Form your own leaders. I'm sure the president will listen to you. And then when he listens to you, We shall all give all the references. It's so sad that someone is alleged that someone has lost life. Let us call our police officers from now on to ensure that you don't, because when you lose lives and when people hear from the media that so and so has been killed, many people are killed, it is going to give us hunger again. And this hunger will be translated to violence, and then we shall lose our country, and that is not the way forward.
Dr. Samuel, let me come to you because it's very disturbing. We are just coming from the wake of, lives lost 2 weeks ago, out of police brutality. This is another life lost. And clearly what we are seeing is this person was not a protester. Like I asked earlier, when we come back or when we flash back to the 90s and the likes, during such moments like this, were the police using live bullets on protesters? I think let us start from there. How are they containing protesters then as we compare to now, where, if I may say, it is, reckless killing of Kenyans?
Yes, thank you so much, Grace, for having me here. If I may reflect back to the 1990s and a bit of 1980s, we had some element of tolerance. However, the same cancer of autocracy, authoritarian governance, was prevalent. However, the difference between then and now is that during those days, whoever was seen to be notorious in opposing the government would be intercepted. Number one, they would have their phone details cut off, and then some ununiformed CIDs would go for him or her. And what was more prevalent then was detention without trial. And what used to happen in detention, the public did not know per se. Only that after the culprits or after the people who were affected, after they came out of detention, they would tell us that there was torture. However, that torture did not, in most cases, result into killings. We have the likes of the late Martin Shikuku. We have the likes of our dear former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who had such experiences. They were not killed, and that's why today we still have some of them. So I would say that the culture of killing people who are purported to be opposing, governance or opposing governmental ideas should not necessarily lead into killings. Human life should be preserved. People should be given the chance to defend themselves. The rule of law, according to our constitution, should take prevalence. We have got the Bill of Rights. Everybody has got a right to voice their grievances. Everybody has a right to opinion. And therefore, I would say that there has to be some tolerance. There has to be some restraint on the part of our police officers. As I said earlier, they should work as giving service to Kenyans and not using force. Thank you.
All right. I just want you to hold that thought for a bit. I know it's a very, touching topic, but we want to cross over to Kamkunji. We're here that Francis Ontoma has the latest. Remember when we were there earlier on, there were allegations that the Prime Minister Raila Odinga was going to head there. Ontoma, what is happening? I can see, are there police officers being escorted out or something? Please tell us more.
Vijana ni wa huko wanakuja kupora hii side. Wa majengo mko chini wamepora kote. Sio wanataka kuja huko kupora.
lakini kwa kuna ufala. Si waje tu kupora, kwani lazima upore.
Hizi duka zako chizi zimeporwa, sasa wanakuja huko.
Ndio tulikuwa huko, baadhi huko kumeporwa mbaya sana. Wamevunja hizo maduka sasa hivi hizo. Wakapoda. Si huko. Huko hivi. Tumekimbia nao hivi. Wakakuja wakaingia nayo njia hiyo. Wakakuja wakapanda naye tena hivi. Ndio wakafuka huko sasa.
Dada. Ona na imbogi disaster. Ababi nani? Ukingo ule uko mbele. Dole anaenda. Mimi na kijendi nikamchukua kwenda kununua maboka tena kustasha kuinua tena watu wanatupa na mama tuanza kununua maboka hapo kwa duka. Wewe kasema nani? Warembo wa serikali. Wewe kasema cha baki hapo. Mimi ndio mali kwa siana bao ni
Well, those are live pictures coming your way from Shauri Moyo Shopping Center next to Kamukunji. Remember, from what happened yesterday, that is ODM leader Raila Odinga had urged Kenyans to rather converge at one place, that is the Kamukunji grounds, the historic grounds where the Saba Saba protests were held back in the 90s. But of course, residents there were anticipating for his arrival of Raila Odinga. We are not yet sure whether Odinga will be making his way at the Kamukunji, but earlier on when we were speaking with Francis Ontuoma, he said there were no signs at all of any political leader or any leader of the sort making their way there, as there was no podium, there was nothing of the sort. Tear gas had already started being lobbed at the place. But of course, we are still trying to get a hold of Ontuoma to tell us what exactly happened to cause that little commotion that we saw there at the Kamukunji grounds. And once we get a hold of him, of course, we are going to be crossing over live to Francis Ontuoma to give us more of that. And also then other pictures on the other side is live pictures from Kitengela, where Suleiman Yeri was joining us earlier on. He had told us that things were a little bit calm when we started KTN News Desk. But as you can see there, I think those are tires that have been lit up. And we're going to be also joining him to tell us what the situation is. Has anything changed? Is there calm or is it chaotic? As we can see from there, from the screens, those are two live pictures, one from Kamukunji and the other from Kitengela. Like I said, we are going to be joined by reporters to give us an in-depth of exactly what is happening in those two locations as we continue here with the coverage and our discussions in studio with our panelists. And I want to speak to the Gen Zs, that is Mushiri and Kamau. Aren't you afraid of going on with this fight? Because every time there is protest, someone gets shot.
Of course. But some things have to be done, because we are seeing our country being taken down the drain by politicians who wenye wanajipendekeza wao wenyewe, who prioritize self-interest and who prioritize their own issues as compared to the issues of Kenyans. So some of these things have to be done, and we have to fight for our country, because we are in this country, most probably we will be in this country for the next, let's say 40 years, we will still be there. So, and therefore we must fight for a country that we will want to live in. And let me comment on what I'm seeing on the screens. I've seen somebody has been shot in Kangemi. It's so sad and unacceptable. We are seeing smoke and some destruction. And that is something that we must not tolerate, and it's something that we must look for a solution. And therefore, we urge the government to listen to us. We urge the government to listen to the young people, because we are not interested in creating chaos or creating violence or instability. We would even also prefer not to protest if we were being listened to. So please listen to us, and also urge the young people out there, please exercise restraint. Please do not destroy anybody's property. Do not steal anybody's property, because we must maintain the sanctity of our movement. We must maintain the purity of our movement, because if we choose the direction of looting and destruction, then we will destroy the good name of our movement, and we are likely even to lose public support. But we also acknowledge that there are others who have been recruited by the government to also damage the name of our movement, which I think we need to take a little bit step
that we
back.
Can't really substantiate here at Katie and those claims.
Yes, but you've seen on video police and goons working side by side. What would you call that? So my view is that then we must also take a step back, just a small step back, and ask ourselves how we can move forward with this movement without much loss of property, much loss of lives, because we are dealing with a government that can easily shoot somebody who is even not protesting.
Right. I think now we should talk about paying the price for activism as we compare to how then people are paying the prices for fighting for their rights as we compared to now. And I'm also going to ask you this, Kamau. I'm sure we've read about it even in the books of how, you know, the freedoms were fought for. Do you think that those sacrifices have really paid off, right? That now we're having the Gen Zs also coming out to also fight for their rights?
One thing, we are having to pay the price on the most bitter way, because I am just seated here thinking, why have we not seen the police have shot a goon by mistake? So that means that we who are fighting for the democracy, and we are not having any issues with the government, fighting with the police, we are the ones who are suffering, because they don't want us to express ourselves. And that's why there are so many deaths. Because if you look at the recent deaths that have happened, look at the death of Meshach, Akoth Ojwang. He died in the hands of the police. And the only reason is because he was trying to speak out the mind of the Gen Zs. Look at the guy who was shot selling masks. Now look at someone who has been shot in Kangemi. Totally, there are people who are not involved in the protests. But because the government is so insecure, they are even dealing with the wrong people. We would be happy seeing them arresting or even shooting. You know, if the police shoot someone who is stealing or someone who is trying to kill another person, that is something they can substantiate. Now look, they are shooting at people who are even not armed. So we are paying the price in the worst way. But one thing I am still stressing is that we might pay the price, but we are not going to give up. This is our homeland, and at the end of the day, we will still have to live here. They have already proven they cannot listen to us. And even when we try to express ourselves, you can see the likes of the Cabinet Secretary for Interior is saying shoot to kill. And the people who are doing these illegal things, the people who are torturing the police stations, the people who are looting, they are organized criminals. There are people who are getting, from the videos that we are seeing online and the eyewitnesses, there are people who are even getting security from police, because there is no way you can tell me a goon is breaking here and the police is there, but he's not stopping him. But the people who are demonstrating peacefully is the people they are lobbing tear gas. They are the people who are chasing with batons. They are people who they are even shooting live bullets. So we are going to pay the price at the end of the day. But one thing I can assure you is that one of these fine days, we are going to liberate this country from the bad governance.
Okay, so we continue with our coverage, and we now want to cross over to Kitengela, where Suleiman Yeri is. Yeri, earlier on you had told us that things were a bit calm in Kitengela, but I can see that things are a bit different now. Tell us more.
Naam, shukran sana Grace Nganga. Mambo ni tofauti hapa katika eneo la Kitengela. Kwa kweli katika jisaji moja tulilozungumza na hadi kufikia sasa mambo yamebadilika ghafla hapa. Manake vijana wamekuwa wakiteketeza magurudumu katika baadhi ya vichochoro vinavyotaka kuelekea katika baadhi ya mitaa hapa katika eneo la Kitengela. Hii ni barabara ambayo inaitwa Prison Road hapa katika eneo hili la Kitengela. Alafu pia upande wangu mwingine pia ni barabara nyingine mwingine ambao pia kumeteketezwa magurudumu. Kwa hivyo kwa takriban saa zima hapa imekuwa ni mikimbizano ya paka na panya kati ya maafisa wa polisi na waandamanaji. Lakini kwa kweli maafisa wa polisi wamewadhibiti waandamanaji kutokuja hapa kwenye eneo hili ambalo ni eneo la kibiashara. Manake kutoka kwenye lile jumba kuu la kibiashara la Kitengela Mall hadi kuelekea katika eneo hili la chini, kuelekea hadi katika maduka ya Eastmart, kuelekea hadi katika kituo kile cha stendi ya magari, ni kwamba maafisa wa polisi wamehakikisha kwamba hakuna hata mwandamanaji mmoja ambaye yuko hapa. Kwa kweli haya yanafanyika tu katika vijiji. Maafisa wa polisi wamekuwa kirusha vitoza machozi kuhakikisha vijana hawa wanawatawanya na kuwadhibiti kule kule walipo. Hawajaweza kufika kama siku za awali kuona hapa. Hadi unavyoona maafisa wa polisi wamekuwa wakihakikisha kwamba moto huu unaouona unateketezwa na vijana, wanateketeza magodoro, wanateketeza makochi, wanateketeza vile vile magurudumu katika baadhi ya maeneo. Lakini ukikaa tukiangalia hivi ni katika vichochoro kadhaa wa kadha tu ambapo ndo kumebaki kwamba kuna wale ambao wanaendelea na maandamano haya, kwa sababu sehemu nyinginezo kumetulia, hakuna fujo. Manake maafisa wa polisi wito wao umekuwa kuhakikisha kwamba kuambia waandamanaji hawa waondoke barabarani na warudi nyumbani. Hawataki kuona mtu yoyote kwenye barabara. Huo ndio umekuwa wito wao siku nzima hii, wakisema kwamba wanataka warudi katika maeneo haya. Kwa sasa hivi hakuna maji ambayo yanamwagwa, hakuna chochote ambacho kinafanyika, lakini vijana wanapojitokeza tu unaona kwamba wanafukuzwa na maafisa wa polisi. Unaona kwamba inakuwa ni mikipinzano kati ya paka na panya. Kama unavyoona sasa hivi ni maafisa wa polisi wakijaribu kuwatawanya wale ambao wanawarushia mawe. Maana vijana hawa nao wamekuwa wakirusha mawe kwa waandamanaji ambao wako hapa, wanarusha mawe kwa maafisa wa polisi. Na maafisa wa polisi wanajibu kwa kurusha vitoza machozi. Pia ni kuarifu kwamba maafisa hawa polisi wamekuwa wakitumia risasi zile za moto kuhakikisha kwamba wanawatawanya waandamanaji wote. Pia kuhakikisha kwamba afya ya wote ambao wanajeruhiwa hapa imeimarishwa. Ni kwamba shirika la Msalaba Mwekundu pia limekuwa hapa toka asubuhi mpaka sasa hivi kuhakikisha linaangalia mtu yoyote yule ambaye anapata majeraha, mtu yoyote ambaye anashughulikiwa na majeraha yoyote anaangaziwa na kupewa matibabu ya kwanza kabla ya kufikishwa katika kituo chochote kile cha afya kuweza kutibiwa zaidi. Kwa kweli hadi kufikia sasa ni kwamba tunaona tu mioto, vijana wakijitokeza, maafisa wakiwatimua, wakiwafurusha, lakini hatujaweza kuona kisa chochote ambacho ni cha kuvunja moyo ama kisa chochote ambacho ni cha kughadhabisha kama vile kuona awali kwamba mtu yoyote amefanyika chochote hapa. Maafisa wa polisi wameweza kuhakikisha kwamba maandamano yanayofanyika hapa yamefanyika kwa kuyadhibiti na hakuna mtu yoyote ambaye anajeruhiwa. Tunaona yale magari yanaenda katika ule mtaa ambao awali ulikuwa na maandamano makubwa. Kulikuwa na vijana takriban 200 katika kichochoro hicho ambacho sasa hivi kinamwagwa maji ya njano. Yale maji ya njano ni maji ambayo yanawasha, na maafisa wa polisi wamekuwa wakipiga risasi. Ni kwamba ni risasi zile nyingine nimekuambia ni risasi za moto, sio zile za mpira ama zile risasi za raba ambazo huwa zinatumika sana katika maandamano. Kwa hivyo hali ilivyo hapa ni kwamba bado ni vuta ni kuvute, ni mchezo wa paka na panya. Wengine wakirudi upande wa kulia wanarudi upande wa kushoto, maafisa wa polisi wakiwafuata upande wa kushoto wanarudi upande wa kulia kuhakikisha kwamba wanadhibiti maandamano haya kwa sasa hivi. Kwani ikiwa tumeelekea hadi mwendo wa saa 9, haya maandamano yalianza kuanzia mwendo wa saa 4, vijana hawa wamejitokeza, lakini hawajaonekana kuchoka. Wameonekana tu kwamba wanaendelea tu kufanya maandamano haya hadi sasa hivi. Kwa hivyo bado maafisa wa polisi wako ange hapa, na vile vile waandamanaji hawa wanaonekana kuonesha kwamba wako na dhamira yao haijaisha na bado wataendelea kuwa hapa. Tuko hapa, tutakujaza yote ambayo yanaendelea kufanyika katika eneo hili, Grace.
So much, Yeri, but kindly remember to keep safe, giving us live pictures there from Kitengela. Things not really looking pretty. We now want to cross over to Nakuru. As we had seen earlier, things were also looking a bit messy. At least now I can get a hold of our reporter, Ken Gashohe. Ken, good afternoon. What really happened? We saw so much chaos in Nakuru County.
Yeah, indeed, the situation at the moment here at the area is very tense. And actually what is happening?
Okay,
the police here are trying to control the protesters who have blocked the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway at Free Area section. At the moment, we have the protesters using stones that have the stones that are usually used on the railway line to pelt the police officers who are trying to disperse them, using the various tear gas and rubber bullets. But at the moment, we have the road still blocked. Some of the protesters actually are on the police vehicles continuing to protest. We can see from a distance one police vehicle has been taken over by the protesters, but the police are trying to recover it. We have others on horses trying to actually recover that vehicle, but at the moment we still have a very tense situation here. Earlier on, the situation started very peacefully with the protesters just marching along the highway, but they got to a point where the road was blocked, and this has disrupted the traffic along this major route, and most of the motorists have been forced to divert to other areas, and they are trying actually to reopen the road, but it has proven very futile, and this is for the last at most 4 hours. This road has not been opened because of the protest that has been going on here. The protesters are still using stones from the railway line to ensure that they pelt away the police officers, but the police officers have been calling for reinforcements, and they are yet to manage to control the situation. Earlier on, they had tried to use diplomacy, engaging with the protesters peacefully and trying to talk to them because they are just young youths. But unfortunately, the use of tear gas and other forms of attempts to disperse them has turned them into a chaotic procession here at Free Area. Nobody so far has been injured. We have not reported any injury here. Nobody has seen all well. No business has reported being looted or maybe any other form of losses. But the police and the protesters are fiercely engaging each other here, and we are still camping here. Unfortunately, the tear gas that has been lobbed is coming towards us, and we may not be able to move forward. And but we shall continue to show our viewers live pictures from this area, this Free Area Trading Center, where every business has been closed down because of this kind of a disruption. Back to you in studio,
Billy. So much, Ken Gashohi there from Nakuru. Also, kindly remember to be safe. Just bringing us up to speed on what is happening in Nakuru. Of course, we're going to be joining him a little bit later on. Now, remember from what I told you about breaking news where one person has been shot dead in Kangemi. Of course, witnesses say that the deceased was actually not a protester. And now we are joined via phone call with our eyewitness who witnessed the shooting in Kangemi, and that is Billy. Billy, good afternoon. Perhaps if you can paint to us what really transpired before the shooting of the deceased.
Okay.
Anything is fine. Hata Kiswahili iko sawa.
Sawa. Duru za kuaminika zimetueleza kuwa aliyepigwa risasi alikuwa kama ametoka kazini anaelekea nyumbani. Sasa ni kama alipigwa risasi na alipigwa na risasi iliyopotea ama iliyopotea njia. By a stray bullet. Tumeelezewa kuwa alikuwa ni mtu ametoka kazini na alikuwa anaelekea nyumbani. Sasa ni kama risasi ilipata hapo njiani akielekea nyumbani.
And labda alikuwa wa jinsia gani? Was he a guy?
Alikuwa ni mwanamume.
Alikuwa ni?
Mwanamume.
So far mwili wake imetolewa imepelekwa katika hifadhi yoyote ama bado hajashughulikiwa?
Sijapata habari ile, lakini nimeona habari ya Red Cross zikipita hapa ni kama amechukuliwa akapelekwa katika hospitali.
Kwa hivyo umesema kwamba alikuwa anaenda nyumbani kutoka kazini. Alafu was it a stray bullet? It was a stray bullet, you say?
It was a stray bullet.
So na where exactly was it? Just on the streets while the police, walikuwa narusha marisasi, tear gas, were they dispersing a crowd? Ama situation ilikuwa vipi pale Kangemi?
They were trying to disperse crowd, and I think in the process they shot. That's when the straight bullet got him.
I'm sorry, they?
Nasema, walikuwa wanajaribu kudisperse crowd. Ndio? I think in the process ndio wakashoot na kampata huyo jamaa.
All right, asante sana, tunashukuru sana Billy for calling KTN just to bring us to speed on what really happened in Kangemi. Just to bring you to speed with what Billy said, Billy says that the deceased was on his way home from work. Then that was when he was shot from what he says was a stray bullet, and his body is believed to have been moved to have been moved from the scene. He says that it was a stray bullet, but of course we are awaiting to get more information from that side. Our deepest condolences to the family of the young man who is said to have been shot on his way home from work. Of course, it's really sad that even stray bullets, I think the biggest question that Kenyans asked every time during the demonstrations is, why are the police given live bullets? Yeah, exactly. You know, Dr. Sam?
Yeah. Thank you. It's a sad state of affairs there. My condolences to the family of the person who has been shot dead. What I would say is, like I said earlier, there has to be some element of restraint on the part of our police servicemen. They need to act as givers of service rather than using force. And in that case, we would expect that even as they go out to restrain violent demonstrations, if any, I think it would be in good faith that their bullets should not be, they should not be armed with fired bullets. Rather, they should use tear gas and maybe rubber bullets. Yeah, because we're told it was a stray bullet, but why?
The bullet.
Why that
question.
Fired bullet?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that there's still a gap in our police service. We should try as much as possible to protect civilians who are not armed. Yeah, and then on the other hand, with your permission, Grace, I wanted to extend a piece of advice to our agencies. We have heard from our friend here, Kamau, dear Mama, one of the agencies, that they are leaderless, and they are leaderless
and they're partyless.
And they're partyless. They're tribeless.
Yeah.
Now, I want to extend a warning there, because if they are leaderless, they are partyless, and they are, of course, they say they are tribeless, fine. But I'm talking on the issue of them having no structures. Now, they are operating like a clandestine movement. Now, they cannot easily be traced, all right? They have no structures. And so it becomes very difficult even for the part of the government authorities, so to speak, to arrange formally to have dialogue with them. So I would advocate for the fact that as much as they could be having a point in voicing their grievances, they need to have structures,
all right,
such that we can have their representatives coming up in good faith to have dialogue with the government of the day, so that on an open plate, they can be heard. Of course, we know there will be no intimidation whatsoever, because without them having structures, without them having formal leaders, I can vouch You can take this to the bank. They may be fighting for a good cause, but we're going to have a lot of chaos in this country.
But Dr. Samuel, when you talk about structures and having a way of having maybe to speak to these representatives, I think Kamau and Mushiri said that last year they hosted an X space, no leader. They just invited the president, and the president spoke to hundreds and thousands of Kenyans, right? That's why I think they were arguing, if I'm not wrong, Mushiri, that the space was there, and they aired out the grievances, but the grievances were not met. Am I right, Mushiri?
Yes. Very true. But can I answer that? You see, them being leaderless and operating like a clandestine movement, that's guesswork. That's guesswork. I remember we had a movement, which is now a party. We had the Orange Democratic Movement, which at some point translated into a party. And so far, they have been doing a good job being in opposition. And as much as they were advocating for some of these grievances, we see that when they formed themselves into a party, then they've been able to, advocate for governance, governance rectification in this country. But if they are partless, they have no structures, that is guesswork. Now, for any government to deal with a clandestine movement, there is bound to be some element of let me say, brutality, because they are not honest. They have not come out to say, yes, we're here, and these are our grievances, and this is our leader, and this is what we're doing, and these are our grievances. So I would say, with all due respect to our agencies, be open. Kenya is an open democracy. You can form a party and which will be protected, I believe. Thank you.
All right, kindly, before I get to you, he has spoken about Gen Z needs a leader, they need structures and all that. Are we looking at a Gen Z political party or a political leader in the future? Is that something that is really workable?
I wanted to respond to Daktari before I forget. Daktari, we as Gen Zs, one thing that the government needs is not us to be organized. They just need the information. Because what we are doing is we are just giving them what the ground is saying, what the ground is responding. And that's why we hosted the president on X. We did not need a leader. You don't need a leader to host an X space. You don't need a leader to call the president on a TikTok live. You don't need a leader to make sure, to involve the president to know what you are saying. You know why we don't want leaders, Daktari? Number one, we don't want conflict of interests. If the government is able to buy the opposition, they can buy the 2 or 3 Gen Zs who we can be elected as leaders, or we can be chosen as the leader. And we will still have to sing with the rhythm of the government. That's why we don't want to have leaders who can be manipulated. I'm not saying that all of them can be manipulated, but we have seen in the recent past instances where people who are opposing the government, but because now they are voicing what the government wants and they have been chosen to represent a certain group of people, they are being bought, they are being given positions. So we don't want that. We don't want to create a space where the government can manipulate any Gen Z. That's why we are just making sure that the president or the executive gets the information that is on the ground. What they do with the information is now up to them. So we are basically saying that if we involve a party, you have said very well, ODM started as a movement. If we now start saying a Gen Z party, then we will be transiting to politics. And one of our interests is not about so much politics. When 2027 comes, we will do the politics. Most of us are going to eye those seats. Because again, you cannot, we should be leading from the front. We cannot say we want this, but still we are staying back and letting those bad people or those people who are incompetent to lead. We are going to contest for those positions. Personally, I will go for Monarch. And my fellow Gen Zs will go for even member of parliaments, others for government, for governors, because we want to lead from the front. But for now, we have first to push for the agenda that we have. Meanwhile, we have to deal with the government. When politics come, 2027, I'm telling you, we will come out, we will form the parties, we will use our own parties. And for the first time, I am assuring you that the election for 2027, God willing, it will be like that of 1997. Nobody was elected on a party basis. People are elected on their own. And I can assure you, most of those positions will be with Gen Zs because we are going to take the votes. So we don't want parties because it's not time for politics. Let's now first air what we want. Let's first make sure that the president knows the information on the ground. Then after that, whatever he does with the information, we'll determine whether we are taking him home. But as of now, if elections are today, we Gen Zs could have taken him home very early in the morning.
All right, Edge, I just want us to bring an update of our breaking news earlier on. And in Kangemi, another one has been confirmed dead. Quite a sad story there. 2 persons have been confirmed dead in Kangemi following the protest of the Saba Saba protest. And now I'm being joined live by a paramedic from Kangemi, that is Joyfrey Kuvili. Joyfrey, good afternoon. Before you give us, I hope you can hear me, Joyfrey.
I'm hearing you.
All right, we understand that we have 2 casualties of protesters that have been that have died in Kangemi. Perhaps you can tell us, did they both succumb from shootings or from police bullets?
No, right now, my name is Geoffrey. I'm working from the Eagle Rescue Ambulance. Right now, the scene is very hot, but the 2 casualties have become confirmed dead. One was told that there were people who are carrying one body coming to our facility to confirm if the body is still alive. But reaching here, they shot another person, so they accompanied the 2 bodies. Reaching at our facility, confirmed the body were already dead.
All right, and perhaps because there's some concerns about access to emergency care in Kangemi, what is the situation? Because we are having some concerns that there are some ambulances are not being allowed to access or have a designated place to, to cater for casualties. What is the situation in Kangemi?
The Kangemi situation is not good because the access of the emergency we don't have right now because the road has been blocked. So we can't access. Now, if you get the casualties, it's very difficult to go to Kenyatta or to another nearest facility. So people that are the one helping us to carry the victim to bring to our facility.
All right. So does that mean that you're not somewhere, you have no designated place to cater for any casualties within Kangemi area?
No, we don't have access because the road has been blocked. So we can't access. So the ambulance, we have the ambulance, but accessing is their problem.
All right, and have you maybe perhaps tried talking to the security personnel to give you way through so that you can actually attend to some casualties, and what was the response?
No, we tried to talk to OCS, so he has been trying to help us to open for us the road where we can access to go to the casualties. But the thing is, the road is stuck completely. We can't access the road.
All right, and perhaps apart from the 2 sad incidents there where 2 have, like you said, confirmed dead upon arrival on your ambulances, are there any casualties that you've had so far, and what are the cases, the severity of the cases?
Yeah, we have another casualty who has been shot the hand, but we have tried to call the Red Cross with us here, the team who can evacuate with the land cruisers. So we are giving this patient to take him to Kenyatta.
All right, so the main challenge you have at the moment is that you cannot even access, you've also been, the ambulances cannot access the roadblocks, and you have no communication from the security personnel to make you have way to meet
that's the thing, yeah.
All right, so thank you so much. I'm going to be getting back to you a little bit later so that you can also give us an update of whether you have been given a throughway pass so that you can also manage to attend to these casualties. Thank you so much, Joyfrey, for linking up with us here on KTN and giving us an update of what is happening in Kangemi. Quite a sad note there. Thank you, Joyfrey.
Welcome.
All right, there you have it. And just to maybe emphasize on what Joyfrey said earlier on, doctors were urging the Inspector General of Police to issue clear guidelines on safe passage of healthcare workers, ambulances, medical supplies, and other essential vehicles to ensure uninterrupted delivery of health services amid the ongoing Saba Saba unrest. All right, there we have it. Even the ambulances. What can we say? Because I think at this point I'm speechless. What can you really talk about that? Yes.
If you see me wiping my teeth I'm feeling very bad. Why? Last night, I and my wife were praying so that today's Mandamano, nobody should lose life or be hurt. I was working in Somalia under very harsh conditions. I don't want to repeat them in my mind, just to save this country. When I see such things, I'm heartbroken. Let me tell you the truth from the bottom of my heart. So what I'm saying as an old man and with all those experiences, my friend Gen Z, as the doctor said, we are your parents. We love you. Imagine your son, you have a son, and here he has been dying. So what I'm saying is this, change your approach. In the military strategy, Grace, when we confront an enemy, and that enemy is very powerful, we withdraw and engage on plan B. And I'm telling you, like the doctor has told you, the plan B is not to engage our president through social media. Write a memorandum to the president. He'll be able to listen. Understand? He'll be able to listen. I'm very sure. He's also human and he's seeing this. He's disturbed right now. And I wish the cabinet now can come in with an emergency meeting to sort out these things. Let me tell you, Kamau, if you continue like this and we drop our country to the dogs, where will you go to demonstrate? Where will you go to demonstrate? You are the students of history. I presume you have done history even to the 4 level. Let me tell you something. In ethics, in the faculty of logic and ethics, nothing can be grace and cannot be at the same time. There cannot be peace without justice. That is the principle of contradiction in logic and ethics. If plan A is failing and is causing lives of your fellow Gen Zs, and is going to drop this country to the dogs like in Sudan, in Somalia, in any other country that is a failing state, where will you take your grievances? I urge you as an old man like him. We have seen a lot. Just go and restructure your strategies and accept to write a memorandum. I know during the initial stages of your grievances and Mandamano, you feared to be captured and be killed and be abducted. But now things have reached to this stage. Please come out. Don't fear. Write a memorandum. I know it's debatable. You might hate me, but that is advisory further for someone who has been in the security for 35 good years and in the security which is very senior, the KDF. Okay? So what is there? Go and regroup yourselves, rethink, and write a memorandum of what you want. Of course, what you want, they know. But man-to-man, Grace, man-to-man conversation and communication is more effective than in the social media. Our president there is seeing all these things. There is a cabinet ministers also watching. I'm sure, go and write a memorandum to His Excellency the President and listen you, rather than going with all these things. And Madam, let me finish up by saying about Raila issue. My observation is that if today Raila was, as he said yesterday, to go to Kamukunji, these things in that side of these lands would not have happened. But I do not judge him because I don't know the security arrangement is up to how. But when Grace, there was Gen Z again, and they were bringing down the country, Raila came in and formed the broad-based government. I'm telling you, we cannot now blame Raila. It is a God's wish. If you try to bring down the government when you don't have the plan B, C, D, anarchy is going there, like in Sudan, like in Somalia, and many other countries. So we shall give a credit to Raila. But now, the thing is, our agencies are askaris wako mbele kututetea sisi. So make a formulation of structures, how you are going to deal with your presentation of grievances, which we also feel to the president, who is the commander-in-chief. He has so much powers. And he will listen. That is my advice.
But Mr. Peter and Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, because Mr. Peter is talking about delivering a memorandum, the president is watching. What one may argue, these killings have not started today. These killings have been ongoing since last year's protest.
I know. But
right?
there's a moment of listening. Try it. And if it fails, then we can think of other options. We have also options, Grace. We are former security officers, and we are so many in this country, but we are very sober. We don't want to enter into these things. Let them listen to what we are telling them so that we do not lose our country. Our country is at the brink of falling down with such things. So just do it, so try it. If it fails, God will give you other inspirations to counter what is happening in this country.
Dr. Sam, is the memorandum the way to go?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Grace. I will still go back to my alias advice. Memorandum can be written, yes, but if that memorandum has no address, it has no structures, still we're dealing with a clandestine type of movement. We're dealing with a guerrilla. You understand that? It's a guerrilla type of tactic, which is outdated in the 21st century. Yeah, we can't go back to jungle law. Yeah? We cannot go back to jungle law. We must adhere to the rule of law, such that grievances are there. Everybody knows that there are certain gaps in our governance system. We are urging the presidents, you know, and the arms of government, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary,
to listen.
To listen, fine, but they cannot listen to people who are baseless. You know, they are operating from remote. I mean, how? You know, that guerrilla type of tactic cannot work. We must adhere to the rule of law. That's what I'm trying to say. We have a constitution, and if there are grievances which they fear, the Gen Zs fear that they'll not be listened to, then let them keep quiet and organize themselves, wait for 2027.
But when you say keep quiet and we're here acknowledging them and telling them fight for your rights, speak for your rights, how are the rest good if we encourage them to keep quiet?
Okay, thank you. Maybe I can withdraw that.
Yes, they cannot keep quiet. They need to speak out.
So speaking out, but speaking out in a formal way. Yes. Because guerrilla tactics will cause more harm to this country. Yes. And
maybe if you can hear from the Gen Zs themselves. Mushiri.
Can I talk to the president now?
Mushiri. Mushiri.
Talk to the president now.
Mushiri, kindly. Mushiri. Yes. Peter here is talking about a memorandum. Last year, you guys had a very successful X-Space. Yes. You told the president what you wanted. Later on, the president dropped the finance bill, and the president, you know, reshuffled his whole cabinet, right? Do you really need a leader for the president to really listen to the Gen Zs?
Well, I don't think we need a leader for the president to listen, and I don't think that we need a structure for the president to listen. Because let's take, for instance, we have a leader, or we have leaders who go to meet with the president to discuss our issues which we have already talked about. What would be the fruits of that discussion? Will that, just by discussing that, give justice to all those we lost? Will that discussion give us the jobs that we need? Will that discussion create accountability in government? We are saying this. If let's say we go towards the discussion when probably we are called for a conference somewhere in KICC, that will be more wastage. Yet our issues are clear. Jobs, accountability, justice, they are clear as day. So
it's just for the president to act.
Yes, it's for him to act. And something else that it's making us less trustworthy towards the president and the government is because there are things that were promised last year. Finance bill, it was returned. In their own words, abductions. We saw a lot of abductions taking place, especially in December. We saw a lot of that in early of this year. After we had discussed and said that he's going to sort out abductions, extrajudicial killings are still there. So the issues are there. And when we discuss, they do not keep their end of the bargain. And that is why we become more frustrated and decide to go back to the streets. Because we have tried all other avenues. We are ready to stop all these, as long as we are listened to. We are ready to go back to our works, as long as they give us, they offer the opportunities that we need. We are ready. It's not like we, as I had said earlier, that we want to destroy this country. We must protect this country from anarchy. We must protect this country from destruction. And we have that in mind. And we do not want our country to go towards that direction. And that is why we are requesting the president to listen to us, act, prioritize better. We are seeing a very huge executive. Prioritize, listen to us, care. You see, we have a government that, even in their words, they just speak to us, and some ask us, mtadu. So you see, that is something that is not helping. We need a government that cares for the common mwananchi, a government that serves the common mwananchi.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to continue with our discussion. But remember what we talked about, breaking news. 2 persons have been reported dead in Kangemi. Quite a sad story there. And also from Twitter, people are tweeting. One is saying no ambulance in Gong currently. I'm with several short protesters. Wanaumia Jamani, send help. This is all with the unrestricted movement that took place from early this morning. Even coming to work was quite a hassle. We now want to go over to a CBD where Kelvin Nyakundi is standby. Kelvin, good afternoon. The restriction is still there. Is it still ongoing in CBD?
Well, hello there and good afternoon, Grace. Thank you for just leading the conversation that you had earlier. And now we are in the CBD, the Central Business District, which has turned into a ghost town. And currently I'm standing at Tomboya Street, and between the intersection of Kenyatta Avenue and Imenti towards the other side. And on your screen, you can see the empty roads that are there. You can also see the empty streets that are there. The shops, all shops are closed. And this is a ghost town, as we've been walking around and looking at the different businesses that have been closed, the different businesses, and you have the small, medium enterprises that are there. We have different kinds of businesses that are here. And on a normal day on the streets, you will find various Kenyans trying to make a living, and also other Kenyans shopping as well. And this is the situation at the moment. We've been walking around town. We've been making sure that at least we look at every corner, and trust you me, Grace, as you can see, there is no business that is open at this time. We just have the security people around here. We have the security people who are trying to bring order, and others who are making sure that their businesses have the better security at the moment. So we've been walking around. We've gone to Tomboya Street, up to down that place. We've also gone up to closer to Central Police Station. We've been walking around Kenyatta Avenue on the upper side towards the Integrity Center, towards that side, and coming back. And we've been looking at the various businesses that have been closed. And I can say there is no business that is open at the moment. And we've been looking around and talking to the security people who are manning this area, and the security guards for different establishments and different businesses around this area. And they are saying they've never seen something like this before, and this is one of a kind for a very long time. So that is what is happening around the CBD. There is not so much action. It is very calm at the moment. And I'll be talking to one of the security people who is manning this area, and one of the establishments around this area. And he'll be explaining to us what this day has been and how it has been looking, because earlier on in the morning we saw some showers, and it was a bit chilly, and towards the afternoon the weather has just brightened up. And he's been here, he's been around town, around the CBD, making sure that the establishment that he's manning is secure. Bariako, how are you?
I'm fine.
So this day, Saba Saba, did you expect it to turn out the way it has turned out?
Actually, this is a very unfortunate day because on a normal day, I will start by saying that good evening, but this is a really bad evening because this is the backbone of the backbone economy of our city, and this is the capital city of Kenya, where you see the city is so much, very much deserted, and we security guards, we are just manning nothing, like we are just there. The street has been left for the security guards, people like us, and there's always, everything always has its time. The main purpose of the protest was to maybe, according to the big agenda, is that 1 term, 2 terms, second term. But really, what I will say is that those are just hot airs, because I go for no term, because all political aspirants, they're only there for power grabbing. But I will just say that we are so much disappointed in everything. Our economy is depreciating backwards, and yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, and Grace, that is the sentiments from people around the CBD. And as you've heard, businesses have closed, affecting the economy. And you can imagine someone who was making a living today, they've closed shop, they've closed their establishments, and this is the situation around town. So this day has gone like that, waiting for tomorrow to see if they can salvage a little bit of what they were supposed to be putting up today. So we'll be just going around town, looking at various establishments and looking at also various avenues to see what the situation is. But at the moment, it is very calm, and we have heavy police into the areas that are coming, the roads that are leading into the CBD. We also have very many establishments and also retail shops that are around this area which have closed. So Grace, that is the situation around the CBD. Back to you in studio.
Right. Thank you so much, Kelvin, for bringing us up to speed on what is happening in the CBD. Of course, a ghost town there. Nothing pretty much happening since the restriction that was imposed this early morning. But of course, just to bring you up to speed on the latest development is that the number of deaths have risen to 4. The number of deaths have risen to 4. 2 have been confirmed dead from Kangemi and 2 have been confirmed dead from Ngong. Of course, this coming even as medics try to ask the Inspector General of Police to issue clear guidelines on the safe passage of healthcare workers, ambulances, medical supplies, and other essential vehicles to ensure uninterrupted service delivery, even as we go on with the Saba Saba protest. And like I said, 4 deaths have been confirmed so far. Quite sad. All this coming even as the movement has been restricted since early morning. Now medics cannot access, some of these victims. Quite a sad story there. Kamau, I'm going to come to you, and perhaps when certain things happen in the countries from last year, do you as Gen Zs perhaps blame yourself for trusting the politicians or leaders too much?
Grace, I want to echo this very clearly. We are the persons who did put the government in place. We trusted the president. He came in the most humble way any politician can come. We trusted him. We saw him as a man of God. He made, if you remember during the campaigns, because I was there, he went almost every constituency doing something that was more of an economic forum, taking views. I remember at my home place in Njoro constituency, he came at Kenana Farm. He called us as the Gen Zs and our parents. You know what he did? He sat there with a pen and a book. You take the microphone, you speak to the presidential candidate. Tell him, this is our area. We do potatoes. We need the market. This is our area. We have youths. We need jobs. We give him, he was noting. Do you know what we and our parents went home with? A lot of faith in him. We knew that he has carried our grievances in his book.
Did you participate in it?
Yes.
What were the grievances that you brought forth?
I was one of the people who told him that We have just graduated. I graduated in 2022. So, and we told him, Your Excellency, now you are going to the seat. We are going to make sure you win. Please remember us. We are more than 200,000 or 500,000 who have graduated year by year. And he could take the mic and respond, calling me by my name. Kama hiyo maneno tutaangalia. Mungu akitujalia tuingie kwa kiti, we will make sure tumewaweka kwa kazi. And now he went in 47 counties, doing the same economic forums with even my boss, Moses Kuria. And they went writing down, writing. We trusted them because we knew every time he wakes up and he looks at his diary, he remembers that he was somewhere with Kamau. He remembers that he was somewhere with Mushiri. He told him what the people of Nyeri or Muranga they are facing. 1 year down the line, we were already disappointed. We had hope. Came 2023, we still had hope. You know what we did in 2024? We came out to remind him of what he told us in the economics forums. Now it's 2025. He has still not yet fulfilled. He's still giving us more hope. Do you want to tell me that come 2027, he will tell us that I told you this, I did not fulfill in the 5-year term. Give me another term, I will fulfill. Total lies. We won't trust him again.
Mushiri, from the chosen one to the chance of one term, where did the president or this government go wrong?
I think the president, as Kamau has said, came with very sweet words and promises, saying that we would be like Singapore. And we believe it. Kenya can be like Singapore. Kenya can move forward. But then immediately after elections, we saw those around him starting to speak at us. We started seeing extravagance in government. We started seeing politicians who could now afford designer everything, designer shoes, designer clothes, designer everything. We started seeing politicians carrying money in bags. And these are the same politicians who had told us that Kenya is a dilapidated economy or something to the sort. So we started wondering, what has suddenly changed? Where is this money coming from? And when you ask those questions, then you are met with brute force. So something changed along the way where politicians forgot what they told us, forgot what they were elected to do. And I feel also the common Mwananchi is also partly to blame, because we see politicians who come with money being elected, and we see elections based on tribe. It doesn't matter whether that person, in examples of members of parliament, MCAs, governors, it doesn't matter whether you are competent or not. We see our people electing those people based on the party they are in, based on the tribe they are in. So I believe if we are to move forward, then we must put away that, the politics of tribe, the politics of money. We must also try and interrogate the past of these politicians, because their past really matters, and that's something we really missed in 2022. And also, there is these issues of institutions. We have independent institutions that cannot bite. We see voter bribery being caught on camera, but IBC can't do anything about it. The police can't do anything about it. We see hate speech all around, but NCIC cannot do anything about it. We don't see them doing anything about it. So we also need these institutions to step up. This is your time. We have your support. Step up and bite where it needs to be.
All right. As we await to link up with Francis Ontoma from Kamukunji, as you can see, those are live pictures from Kamukunji, and Ontoma will be joining us in just a while. As we stick to the Gen Zs here, 4 people have been shot dead. All right. A couple of weeks ago, there was this order of shoot by a cabinet secretary. And then now today we are seeing protesters have been shot, whether it's a stray bullet. Of course, the biggest question is why are they even having bullets on the ground? But does this take away the leap of faith that you have in a men in uniform as the young Turk of the country?
I think, Grace, I would blame the men in uniform, because we have seen several instances. Last week, I saw a video of them mishandling a tear gas inside the vehicle. and it went to, it just erupted on them. They need to know how to handle us as the protesters. They are trained, they need to differentiate between the goons and we the peaceful protesters. Let them refer to the Article 244 of the Police Act. They are given the live bullets, they don't have to use it. I can quote the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Sometime he said that these guns you are given, they are not meant to take away lives, they are meant to guard lives. So, and we want to remind them that we are fighting even for them. I will tell you for sure, Grace, the condition that most of the policemen have out there, we have seen many of them even being taken photos. He's a policeman in uniform, but he has a torn shoe. He has a badly stitched trouser or a sweater. So they are also going through a lot. And we are not fighting for ourselves too. We are still involving them that they should be given better treatment and better payments. Them killing us and saying that it's stray bullets, though most of them, it's them mishandling. Look at a guy who was shot inside a gym. He was not even outside. I mean, on a third or fourth floor of a house, a stray bullet got him on the neck in Nyeri and he died. They need to have better training. They also need to handle us with care. We have never at any time seen a protester coming with a gun